comparing greatness right here.
This is very difficult. Two stalwarts for Pep, two stalwarts for Manchester City, played a similar amount of games, but the big difference maker here is the assists for David Silva. In an era, I can't think of Agüero without David Silva.
And I don't think Aguero thinks of any of his achievements without thinking about David Silva or Yaya Toure for that conversation.
On top of that, those three guys, and there's a reason why this guy has a statue, but people have been asking about, well, Bernardo Silva has to have some sort of silverware. We're giving David Silva some sort of silverware. So we're kind of going to try to answer that question. More trophies for Bernardo Silva, but almost in a new era. And for me, you'll find out that's kind of how I decided to split the hairs here in this conversation. All right, so left column is our column, right column is SOFASCORE'S
So we've got to bring the viewers up to scratch, right? Because we actually split this. Some of us we took executive decisions for, and some of you took executive decisions for, so that we could really showcase that together we're better than the SOFASCORE Oracle, right?
Sure.
Why are you losing confidence? Why are you losing confidence?
The machines are not taking over, guys.
They're not taking over. We're still here. AI is not quite there as of yet. Yeah, let's go through it though.
Okay.
Yeah, from top to bottom, because like I said, we are comparing greatness. So when you look at the technical ability of both of these two Silvas, who stands out for you though? David or Bernardo?
For me, I went with David Silva on this one for technical ability. Just the way that he was able to dictate games, to keep that center of gravity, to combine with his teammates, to have the flow go through him. I chose David Silva for technical ability here.
I feel like we're going to have a common theme here because you highlighted already. When we saw the last graphic and you saw the assists that David Silva did, I feel like when we move on to playmaking, there's only one person that needs to be in this conversation. There is a lot of things that are comparable between these two, but I needed to understand, for all those that weren't aware, this was the standard when you talk about number 10s across world football. He was finding little pockets that nobody could find him in. The half turns were incredible, and some of the assists, I think about that Man United one where he hit it on the half volley. They're just sensational. David Silva was a player of a generation, and no doubt about it, he's going to get my tick when it comes to the playmaking. Do you agree with that side?
I would agree also.
Okay, I like this. We're okay right now.
So, are we going to go clean sweep David Silva? Because a lot of the same energy I considered in goal threat. Because it's the goals, which numbers-wise, Bernardo Silva does have less goals than David Silva, but it's the assists as well. Like when I think of threat on goal, it's not just about the goals that you score, but it's the goals that you create.
100%.
So obviously, I mean, look at this, 0.18 goals per game, 0.17, and the shots, David Silva was taking more shots, Bernardo Silva more from outside of the box. But I feel like David Silva, when he had either a Raheem Sterling running or an Agüero to combine with, a Yaya Toure helping him out, press forward, it was a lot about David Silva. And I don't mean to diminish Bernardo Silva at all in this conversation, but I feel like I can choose a couple of guys that were more important. If I'm to make like a list of most important players on the pitch right now, I can think of other guys that are more critical to the system than Bernardo Silva. So that's why I gave goal threat to David Silva.
It's so interesting you say that, because I knew you thought it was going to be a clean sweep, but here's the first one that I'm going to give to Bernardo, and let me explain to you why. Not that David Silva didn't have massive moments. He was part of an incredible team that changed the whole direction of English football, period. But Bernardo was trusted by Pep in certain situations that he saw things that the rest of us just didn't. And I'm so glad that we have the UCL knockout goals, because I automatically think of the 4-0 performance against Real Madrid. Him setting the tone in that first half and getting a brace, I think changed the way that we looked at Man City in that competition, period. Real Madrid were flying at that moment. And bear in mind, they drew before in the first leg. They knew that this was going to be a massive moment and you needed someone big to step up in those situations. And I realize now, in all of those big games, he might be the first person that Pep thinks of in all of his eras. As much as David Silva is going to have a special place in his heart, he trusts Bernardo, and I have under good instruction that that's the reason why he's called the teacher's pet.
Yeah, definitely. And remember, David Silva played under other managers at Manchester City as well, right? Going back to the Pellegrini era, going back, I mean, he maybe even had been under Mark Hughes.
Yeah.
Similar to those big games, I think he does come up clutch in those big games because his work rate is so good. And I think if you think of Bernardo Silva's heat map, it's almost as hot in his own half than in the opposition's half. Case in point, the game against Arsenal from just 2 weeks ago, right? how good he was defensively, appearing in those moments to break up play, but also create on the other side. And he covers so much ground, and that's what I think Bernardo Silva sets himself apart from everybody else, because he has the creativity, but he's also willing to track back and defend and give you that effort off of the ball when your team needs it most.
Takes me back to what my first coach always said. The team that usually wins most games of football is the team that works the hardest, and he sets the standard when it comes to hard work for his team, and then he collects it and does something magical with it, which is even more exceptional. And just as Bernardo's closing the gap, we're about to extend it even further, because David Silva with the X Factor, there is just special players that come once in a generation. And I remember him in La Liga and how special he was then. He used to come off the left-hand side, then at that point, playing with a 4. Then he went into that sort of a diamond situation. But when he came to England, he is a once-in-a-generation player. Yes, Sergio Aguero will get the highlights because of the goal. Yaya Toure had that incredible couple of seasons. But in terms of consistency and making your team tick, go and ask Phil Foden as to why he's the player he is today. And he will circle David Silva and say he's the best player that he's ever played with and seen, period. He is an X factor, if there was a definition, sensational footballer. And I'm always a stickler for the 10. We're speaking about the 10 all year, right? How it's dying in football. This is one of the originators of that position.
Can I tell you something? In an era for Manchester City where they needed him to be clutch, Manchester City, when he was just starting, was building what they are now.
Facts.
There's kids that are probably like 10, 15 years old that don't remember the very beginning of Manchester City, of how much it took them to win that Premier League title under the new ownership. And David Silva was a primary reason why they entered this new era. So, right column, empty. We're waiting to see what SofaScore thinks. So they ran the numbers. We haven't seen this, by the way.
There we go.
We want to see how close we are to the computer. Okay, pretty good. Goal threat. They went with Bernardo Silva.
That's not too bad. We're pretty much, 5 from 6? So it's only the goal threat. And I'm not upset with that, because I do think Bernardo does get some big goals. And if they were running purely on numbers, he probably does have more goals, but we know the weight in terms of what we're seeing with the eye test.
Yeah, definitely. So, and the important goals. I think of those Champions League knockout goals for Bernardo Silva in critical moments, they were definitive. And plus, he won that Champions League, right? It's very representative of who he was. I still think it's David Silva regardless. Computer saw your SofaScore. But
I was going to ask Nico the hardest question today, but in fact, I'm going to flip it and give the audience the hardest question. So who had the better career at Man City? Roughly both played about a decade. Incredible stalwarts for what Pep has done across the English football leagues and, of course, in Europe. But who has had the better Man City career? David Silva or Bernardo Silva? We'll leave the conversation up to you. Nico, JayDee, you know what time it is. This numbers don't lie.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.